What's going on, everyone? It's your middle-aged horror guy here, back with another video. Now, Friday, went and saw Scream 7 in the movie theaters. And I've been looking forward to this movie since they announced it. Now, this movie has generated a lot of controversy from Melissa Barrera being fired and General Ortega's exit. A lot of fans have decided to boycott this movie. And a lot of the reaction online is mixed. Fans are divided. Some people hate this film. They're saying it's one of the worst of the franchise. Some people really like it. Well, what do I think? Well, what if I told you that I think this movie is almost a great Scream movie? Why? Well, let's discuss. Now, when I first started seeing reviews for this movie online, I was kind of worried because they were getting a lot of negative reviews. In fact, I think Rotten Tomatoes on the opening night gave it like a 46% or something, which is one of the lowest of the franchise. So I was kind of worried that I wasn't going to like this movie. But I wanted to go see it because everyone has their own opinion. So Friday night, I went and saw it. I went and saw it in a packed theater. And let me tell you, the theater was almost sold out. It wasn't 100% sold out, but it was getting there. And, well, I was expecting to be disappointed, but to my honest surprise, I actually really liked this movie. Now, it has its problems, and I'm going to discuss that, but I don't think it's nowhere near as bad as everyone says it is. For one thing, we're following Sydney now again. This is a very Sydney Prescott-centric movie. Well, she's married now, so it's Cindy Evans, but you know what I mean. Anyway, this movie explores her family, particularly her daughter Tatum, who is 17, the same age that Cindy was when all this started, in the original Scream movie 30 years ago. And of course, she named her daughter Tatum after her best friend Tatum, played by Rose McGowan in the original movie. So that's a nice callback to the original, honoring that character. So that was pretty cool, I thought. Now, this movie has a lot of nostalgia bait, and that's actually that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Too much nostalgia can be considered cheesy, and I think this movie, maybe a lot of people think this movie has too much. I disagree. I think it just has just enough. Like the opening scene, we get almost the same opening scene we get from the original with, in the original, Billy Loomis was sneaking through Sydney's bedroom. Well, in this one, Tatum's boyfriend is sneaking to the window, and they're even playing the same song, "Don't Fear the Reaper," and they're almost having the same conversation that Sydney and her boyfriend did in the original. So that was a nice callback. And there are a lot of callbacks to this movie. And I also like the dynamic between Sydney and her daughter Tatum. I mean, they seem to get along, but apparently Tatum wants to know more about Sydney's past with Ghostface. How she survived all these years, but Sydney doesn't want to discuss it because I guess she feels that there's enough out there. Like all the movies that were made, the Stab movies were made about her, and the books that were made about her and stuff. But apparently, her and Tatum had never discussed it together personally, and so I guess Tatum feels left out, that her mother won't share is upset that her mother won't share a past with her, which I can understand that. Plus, her mother is very protective of her. Apparently, she's not even fired a firearm before, which, considering she's Cindy Prescott's daughter, that's kind of weird. But I guess Cindy wants to keep her daughter shielded from all that, which I can understand. But there's also such a thing as shielding her too much, I believe. So anyway, it all starts off nice. Sydney has moved on from the killings. She's moved on from her life. Basically, she now lives in a small town, and she owns a coffee shop. and her daughter, Tatum, played by Isabel May, is in high school and has a group of friends, and a boyfriend, just like Sydney did in high school. And that's where things start getting interesting. So basically, of course, Ghostface shows up again. Surprise, surprise. And he starts going after Sydney hard. Well, he's going after Sydney's daughter's friends first off. And this Ghostface is brutal. There are some brutal killing in this movie. Now, it is sort of CGI. I know a lot of people don't like that it's too CGI, and I agree. So some of it is a little too CGI. However, I still think it looks pretty good, and it's still brutal compared to some of the other films. Because the original three, the violence was more tame. It wasn't tame, but it wasn't as gory. But these killings are like really gory, and there's some creative kills too, which is pretty cool. And well, I should discuss the opening scene first. So the opening scene is actually pretty cool. It's basically, well, this isn't a spoiler because it's not giving anything away, because you see this in the trailer. Basically, Stu Marcus' house from the original Scream movie is now like an Airbnb, and this couple decides to go stay in it, and it's cool. Apparently, the guy, he's obsessed with the Sydney killings, with the Ghostface killings, because he knows everything about him, and the house is like set up like a museum. It has all the different stab posters and different facts about the killers, and it has like even the locations where the killers were killed, and some of the props like the TV that fell on Billy's on Stu's head, and all that stuff. So he's loving life. Now his girlfriend is sort of, she doesn't really care for it, and so they're in there and they're having. He's having fun, but of course, without giving too much away, well, this doesn't really give anything away because it's in the trailer. Ghostface shows up, and of course he kills him, of course, and then he burns the house down. So all in all, it was a pretty good opening scene. Now, enough of me babbling about the plot. Let me get into why I truly like this movie. Like I said before, I feel this was almost a great Scream movie. Well, for one thing, the cast does a phenomenal job. Nev Campbell as Sidney Evans, delivers a really solid performance, as well as her daughter, Tatum, played by Isabel May. I feel they have a nice chemistry together, and they work really well together. They play off each other really well, and I enjoyed that. As well as, of course, Courtney Cox comes back, as Gale Weathers, of course. And let me tell you, she has one of the best openings of the whole franchise when she comes back. I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but the way she comes back, the way they introduce her character back to the movie, is awesome. The whole crowd was cheering and clapping, including me. I think no matter how you feel about the character, you'll enjoy her entrance. It's one of the best in the series. It really is. And then, of course, we had Chad and Mindy Meeks back. They're Gale's reporters now. Now, they're not given much to do, but they're still but it's still nice that they're there. A nice callback to 5 and 6, since, of course, of everything that went down with Melissa and Jenna Ortega, of course. So it's nice that they're back. We also have Sydney's husband. He's Mark McHale, I believe. He's the sheriff of the town, and I feel he does a pretty good job of portraying Sydney's husband. And of course, and she has a group of Tatum has her group of friends, and they're okay. They're nothing special, and they're kind of one-dimensional, but it's fine. They're not they're not as complex as Sydney's friends in the original, but they're still okay for what they did. Anyhow, what was I gonna say? Well, once Ghostface comes back, things get real. Now, we all know that Matthew Lillard is back. That's not really a spoiler. It was in the marketing as well as the trailer. So, everyone knows that. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but the way they bring him back, I really like it. A lot of people won't. A lot of people say it's cheesy. And maybe it is a little bit, but the way they incorporate him into the story, I think is pretty good. And he's actually in it a lot more than I thought he was going to be. So that was good. For what he did was, he really nailed his performance, I believe, anyway. Matthew Lillard's always a great actor. He nails any performance he does, of course. So, there's that. Anyhow, so, like I said before, this Ghostface is not holding back. He is killing, brutal killings. I mean, there is this one killing, particularly in a bar, it's kind of fake looking, but I can't help it. It's kind of cool. It's probably one of the coolest in the whole franchise, honestly. I don't want to say what it is, but you'll know when you see it. So that was cool. And there's some other ones too. And there's also a lot of suspense in this movie. I think the movie is very suspenseful. I mean, that you feel for Sydney's daughter. You want to keep her. You feel for Sydney wanting to keep her daughter safe. You really do. But you also feel for Tatum because she's feeling like she's left out because she doesn't know much about her mother's past. And she wants to be strong like her mother. She wants to help her mother kill this Ghostface. But at first her mother's like, no, you need to stay away. You need to run away. And that causes some conflict, of course. So anyway, the whole mother-daughter dynamic, I think they played really well. I know a lot of other reviews I read and watched said they didn't like the way that they played them. The dynamic between Sydney and Tatum. But I disagree. I thought they did a really good job. And like I said before, I think this is an almost great movie. I really had a lot of fun with this movie. This movie was really good. Up until, well, the ending, of course. Now let me get into that. So like I said before, the reason why I feel this movie is just almost a great Scream movie is because of that fucking ending. I mean, the ending itself is okay. That's fine. It's just the final reveal. Why, I guess they were trying to make it unique and different. Was just very predictable. You could guess them when they first introduced them on screen. You could almost guess who the killers were. And the one killer, without giving too much away, he fucking was only he wasn't really even in the movie that much. So you're like, what? And why is this person doing this? Now, I'm going to get into a little bit of spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the movie, please don't watch ahead of this. So anyhow, the final reveal, it turns out, was Sydney's neighbor, Jessica. Surprise, surprise, you could see that coming from a mile away, at least I did. And one of the employees at the mental institution that they visited, Marcus, I believe. So apparently they were the two killers, and the motive was kind of weak. I didn't fully understand the motive right away until I went back and researched it. Apparently, when Sydney wrote that book, the Out of the Darkness, or whatever it's called, that inspired Jessica apparently it really inspired Jessica, and apparently she had an abusive husband. So Sydney's book inspired Jessica to murder her husband and get away with it. Why and how, I don't know. Doesn't want to explain that, but that's what they say. And anyway, she gets up, and so apparently she idolizes Cindy. And when Cindy decides to hide herself, and because one thing this movie does do is reference New York and Scream 6, and apparently Jessica is upset because Sydney didn't participate in New York in the Ghostface killings in New York. She didn't go and investigate that, and for some reason that makes Jessica upset, and so she decides Sydney needs to die, and make Tatum and turn Tatum into Sydney. And she feels by killing Sydney in front of Tatum, that'll somehow turn Tatum into the new Sydney. And I don't honestly understand why that works for Jessica. It doesn't want to explain, because normally in a Scream movie they explain how they're going to try to get away with them killings. They didn't even want to explain how they were going to get away with it. There was no thought in that at all. It seemed like they didn't discuss it. And it just basically, she wanted to kill Sydney to turn Tatum, her daughter, into the next Sydney. Like Sydney 2.0. If that makes any sense. And when it comes to Marcus, the mental institution employee, I suppose that they say he read the book too, and he was expired too. That's why he was helping Jessica. It didn't really say a whole lot more. Maybe I need to watch it again. His motive didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And there was also another Ghostface that they actually killed halfway through, which he was just, apparently he was in the mental institution himself. That's why they went and visited the mental institution in the movie, and because he was killed halfway through the movie, which another reason why I like this movie, because they changed it up. This is the first time they actually killed a Ghostface halfway through the movie, I believe. So that was kind of a cool change up. But the problem is the guy that was the killer was only in like one shot. He had like no connection with Sydney at all. So it didn't really make sense, honestly. And that's why the final reveal was just so fucking weak. And that's what keeps this movie from being a great movie. I still like this movie. Up until the final act, it was very good, and I like where they were going. The whole thing with Stu and the AI angle was really good. Now, like I said, this is spoilers right here. Obviously, we learned that they try to play it out that is Stu alive or is he dead? They try to play it out that maybe Stu's alive. In fact, if you see the movie, they show Stu when, they show Stu alive when Sydney's phone, he's calling her. But of course, it turns out that's just really good AI. Orchestrated by these two Ghostface, Jessica and Marcus. So a lot of people will be disappointed that it's not Stu. It's these two. Now, does that mean that Stu's not alive anymore? Does that mean he's definitely dead? Well, who knows? For all we... Now, they say that the killers in this movie say that Stu's dead, of course. But, of course, we don't know that. Will they bring him back? Who knows? But he wasn't in this movie, so that's going to disappoint a lot of people, I believe. So, that's what makes this ending so damn weak. And that's what holds this... And like I said before, that's what holds this movie back from being a great movie. But up until then, I was having a blast. If it wasn't for that, if they could have did a better job as ending and made it a little bit different, I'm not even saying make Matthew Little the killer, but they could have made the killer a little bit more unique and a better motive, this could have been a great Scream film. This could have been up with the original three, possibly. But unfortunately, that ending just didn't sit right with me. It didn't sit right with a lot of people. So that's why I'm going to give this movie 3.5 out of 5 stars. And like I said before, if it wasn't for that damn ending, I'd give it 4 out of 5 stars. But that ending makes it 3.5. And so that's my review of Scream 7. I really liked it a lot more than other people. I really did. This was a very good Scream movie. It just was not a great Scream movie. And that's disappointing. But who knows? There's probably going to be a Scream 8. This movie is on the fast track to break records for the Scream franchise. I think it's made opening weekend 97 million global, and that's the best in the whole franchise. So there's probably going to be a Scream 8. So hopefully, when they make Scream 8, they can come up with a better reveal, come a better killer and a better motive. We can only hope. And so anyway, that's my review of Scream 7. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with me? Do you like the movie, or do you hate it like a lot of the critics do? Whatever it is, comment down below, and as always, please hit subscribe if you enjoy this content. Well, that's all the time we have for the day. I'm a middle-aged horror guy, reminding you that you can love horror at any age. I'll talk to you next time.